I'd love to stop for a second and kind of demystify design. And what I want to do here for a second is one of the thoughts I've often had, which I don't love, but I think there's a lot of truth in it, is that design for a lot of people is a dark art. And what I mean by that is they don't really know what it is or what it means. And what I mean by that, just give you a couple examples, and I know you and I have both had experiences doing this. I know from experience, design is incredibly powerful at crafting a company's brand. And why is that the case? Because inevitably a company has a point of view, they have a future they're trying to create, they have values. You need to figure out how to express that. And it turns out expressing that visually it's not just visually, it's visually and then in copy, bringing it all together is really, really, really hard. That's one aspect. Yeah. Then there's marketing, then there's product design, then there's, all of these different pieces. So I guess just the question I would ask is, do you ever break apart what design is, and how do you maybe demystify it for founders or people that are like, what is design with a capital D, and what are all the different places you can apply it to?
Yeah, I would say, look, we have a much broader, and by the way, like when we were fundraising for our first fund, there were definitely people who, like, 10 minutes into the pitch, they'd sit back and they go, "Can I just stop you for a second? What is design?"
Yes, this is for those people.
And we're like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Is it like interior design? Is it like, what do you?" I'm like, "Uh-oh." So like I would know in those pitches, like, oh, well, we need to back way, 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 way up.
Yeah.
So the way we think about design at Designer Fund is pretty broad, right? So there are the different like types that you have: marketing design, you have UI UX design, you have product design, which is strategic. But even like before, so those are usually the types of and then you have graphic design, which is part of, which can be marketing design, but it doesn't have to be. There's different ways to apply graphic design. And so I think at the highest level, like, yeah, design is the deliberate act of making something, right? And it's the deliberate act of making something with a purpose, right? So there's supposed to be some utility when you're designing something. If it doesn't have utility, if it's for creative expression, that tends to be art. So that's at the highest level what design is. When it comes to startups, the way it gets manifested is marketing design, product design, UI UX design, which is like the design of like the components of the software that we use. And then how it gets manifested at companies, I think the challenge for a lot of designers is to make people understand. And then there's also like experience design, which is both offline and online. And so I think the thing that is a challenge for designers at tech companies and companies in general is to help people understand that everything that we do, everything that we experienced is designed. And whether like you realize it or not, right? You've created, we're always creating things that people are experiencing, and most people don't think about it as design. They just think of it as like doing work or whatever, making things, but it's all design, right? And so I like to have design be a much broader tent, as opposed to this thing that it's like, hey, you can't design things because you're not a designer. It's like, everyone is a designer, honestly. Like, everyone is a designer, whether they know it or not. Okay, so let's start with that. Now that you know that you're designing things all the time, all of us are, well, then the question becomes, are you doing it well or not? So it's not, should this thing be designed? Do we need designers? It's, how well do we want the thing designed? Mm-hmm. Do we want it done poorly? Then, so let me give you another example. So when I spoke to sales at Facebook early on, there was one guy in sales. And I said, hey, what would you do with design resources? And he goes, well, let me show you what I'm going to go pitch Microsoft with. And he pulls up PowerPoint, right? And we were a small company at the time. And the idea was, hey, let's show Microsoft what it would look like to integrate Microsoft products into Facebook. As done by a sales person using PowerPoint, right?
Which makes me frightened at what that would look like.
and it's whatever you're envisioning is not as good as what it was, right? And so I think, and to this guy's credit, to his credit, do the best that you can with the tools available, right? But but the insight, he's like, look, you're a product designer. you can absolutely, you're designing the very product that these things could be manifest. Like what would Microsoft Maps look like within Facebook? What would Microsoft Ads look like within Facebook? You could actually make this look real, right? And so I was like, all right, let's do it. Like, I'll do it. Like, let's work together. And all of a sudden, the sales deck became one of this, like, imagine, it's like one of storytelling and squinting your eyes to one where they could actually, it's like, hey, look, this is it. This is what the final deliverable could be. And this is what millions of people would see exactly like this. And that's super powerful, right? And so for me, like, using design, so I think that's where I try to tell people is like, we're always designing things. And the question is, are you designing it well or not? And if it's not being designed well, then you need to be thinking about like, how do I bring in great design into all the things that our company's doing so that they can have the impact that we want?